Hello, the Pokemon Fan 1993 here, back with our Pokemon Showdown random battles. I am currently in the process of creating a couple of new thumbnails for this because it seems like a lot of people watch it on YouTube might because of how bland the thumbnail is, or maybe people just don't care about Showdown anymore. So I'm working on creating some thumbnails. I was going to try to do them all today, but that was kind of a hard thing to do. So for now, we're just going to deal with this. I did some more random battles here, and we're going to check these out. Let me make sure I've got everything set up here. Slow, okay. Alright, here we go. So I start with Gilgarth. He switched to Thunderous. I go switch to Blastoise because I was going to counter it. And then he switched to Poliwrath. I go for Calm Mind. And he goes for Rain Dance, or I go for Shy Shock. He goes for Rain Dance. I'm trying to figure out why he would do that. And then it becomes completely apparent that it knows Swift has the Swift ability, so you know that happened. I switch to Zekrom. I go for he goes for Close Combat, which actually knocks him out because of the Life Orb he had, and I go for Dragon Dance. Switch to Zycon, I go Dynamax, Max Lightning, because I thought that thing was going to be a problem if I didn't knock it out right then and there, so. Switch to Marowak, I go for Max Wormwind here, and he goes for Blur Blitz. I have no idea why, maybe he's just looking for a sacrificial pawn. So I go for another Max Wormwind, and Dynamax wears off. Switch to Zygrade, I go for, he goes for Dynamax, I go for Outrage, which for some reason lets him survive 1% HP, goes for Max Quake, and that knocks me out. So now I switch to Ninjask, I go for U-Turn, knocks him out, makes me switch to another Pokemon, I switch to Corsola Galar. He switches to Lego, he goes for Knockoff, I go for the Will-O-Wisp, and it burns him. He gets hurt by the burn, he goes for Knockoff again. I get disables Knockoff, I go for Strength Sap, and I restore all my HP. Now here he switches, I believe, yeah, he switches to Thunderous. I go for Nightshade. This is where things get really unlucky here. He goes for Nasty Plot. I go for Will-O-Wisp, I miss. He goes for Nasty Plot again. I go for Will-O-Wisp, and yet I miss again, and that's where the game decided to screw me, because if I wouldn't have let him have that many Nasty Plots in, I would have won this, but his Thunderous is just too powerful for anything to really hurt it. Or is this the one that I won? I'm not really sure. It goes for Focus Blast. I go for Seismic Toss. Because I didn't think Focus Blast would just do that much damage to a tanky special defense type, but I guess it does. Thunderbolt, he's down to 40% HP. I go for he goes for Psychic. I go for Stealth Rock because I figured the burn's gonna knock him out next turn. This is the one that I actually do win. This kind of threw me off here. He goes for Sunsteel Strike. Okay. So for some reason I decided to go for Swords Dance with Ninjask. I honestly thought was going to do anything. Then I remembered that Sunsteel Strike is actually an attack move, not a special attack move. Then I go for Leech Life. My speed boost increased my speed, and that's it. So I kind of forgot that. I don't know why he should have gone for another move. I think he had another move that he could have used. But anyway, that's the end of that battle. I'll see you guys in the second part of this next. And here's battle number 2 of the video. So he starts with Colossal. I start with Behem. I go for Trick, forces him to use Will-O-Wisp over and over again. I get hurt by the burn. Switches to Farfetch. I go for Psychic. Then Farfetch decides to go for the nasty Brave Bird, and that knocks me out. But the recoil knocks him out. So it's pretty even now. He goes for Ninjask. I go for Nihagio, if I didn't pronounce that right. He goes for U-Turn, switches to Primera. I go for Toxic Spikes. Now, I don't know what I was thinking. I knew Nihilego was a rock type, but I thought that Grass Knight would do more damage than that. So obviously, he gets not an extra because of that. I switch to Kyurem. And I go for a Freeze Dry. He switched to Porygon 2 because of Toxic Spikes gets poisoned. Increases pressure. I go for Freeze Dry. Does a small amount of damage. Poison hurts him. Go for another Freeze Dry. Hurts him a bit. Goes for Toxic. Now, I was afraid he was going to go for a Recover, so I Dynamax and I went for Max Hailstorm, which knocked it out. I get hurt by the poison. So just a Colossal. It gets poisoned. I go for Max Quake, that knocks out one shot. So far I was looking pretty good here, but something happens that I forgot that happened. I go for a Max Wormwood here. I forgot that Primaria is Fairy. So Max Wormwood does no damage. If I would have known that, it probably would have won right there. Or I would have had it cinched right there. So it goes for, I get Dynamax back. Goes for another Moonblast that knocks out Kyurem. And this is basically where it kind of spirals a bit down. I got close, but I go for a Calm Mind, a Side Shock here to knock it out. And then he goes for Quiver Dance. I go for a Calm Mind, and he goes Dynamax, and he decides to use Max Hailstorm. I go for Wish because I didn't think he was going to do that much damage to Sleeveon. I thought maybe he'd heal in a couple turns. He goes for Max Overgrowth for some reason. It heals Pokemon on the ground, but that Pokemon is flying, so it doesn't do anything. I switch to Marshadow. I try to go for Rock Tomb. He hits me with Max Airstream that knocks out Marshadow. And then I thought I was able to get his Frostmop off the field with Machamp. I go for Bullet Punch, but apparently his defense is a bit stronger than I thought. If Hurricane would have missed, I would have had another shot. But that's the end of that battle. It kind of turned out a little worse than I hoped for, but I got pretty far into it. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching. This is the Pokemon Fan 1993 signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.